And now, an 8th special presentation.
This time on Art Beat Nation. Both children and adults get a chance to play dress up.
It is about creating space for people to feel comfortable to express themselves.
Learn how dance can be a powerful tool.
You can become a snowstorm, you can become an ancient ancestor, you can become so many different things. You're not limited.
A journalist and a photographer come together to reveal the dark side of Vegas.
Las Vegas, being a transient town, kind of takes in and throws away.
One sculptor creates a new spin on the traditional carousel.
It's such a wonderful art form because it's something that people use, and they use it right in front of you.
It's all ahead on this edition of Art Beat Nation. Funding for Art Beat Nation is made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you. Designer Heidi Kambish collaborates with the Columbus Museum of Art in Ohio to create a whimsical space in which both children and adults are invited to play dress up. Her so-called body puppets are intended to inspire and to liberate the minds of all children, both young and old.
The Wonder Room is a really unique space at the Columbus Museum of Art. It is a gallery. We have more than 20 works of art from our permanent collection in this installation of the Wonder Room, but it's different than any other gallery you'll find here. And that is because we've designed it to be a different kind of environment. This time it's a forest, a woodland environment, and the works of art are embedded in this forest along with some structures like a tree house and a kind of falling down old house, and a lot of hands-on activities that you wouldn't normally find in an art museum gallery. We believe that creativity is for everyone. We want our visitors to have a chance to demonstrate creativity in the space, but we also want to model creativity using local artists. People often ask us, well, there are a lot of local artists. How did you choose? How did you select these 8 local artists? And there's not just one answer to that. I think we came about these 8 artists in many different ways. Some of them I've worked with before, or I know who they were. And someone like Heidi Kambish, we found Heidi Kambish because some of my colleagues had worked with Heidi for our CCS Day for Families, a special event we have here in May, where we invite all the 5th grade families at Columbus City Schools. What I like about Heidi's work and why we asked Heidi to work with us is because Heidi creates these body puppets, she calls them, and they're really unusual.
Open Heart Creatures evolved out of me working at the health department as a counselor with children, at-risk children, and a lot of what we were talking about has to do with uncomfortable feelings and how to cope with different things that are going on in their lives. And so I started making these puppets that were more expressive that we can use as tools. And the puppets then evolved to these giant head body puppets. So I'll get the design going, I'll pick all the fabrics and furs, and Jordana takes over and kind of does a lot of the hand sewing, different pieces together, and then Laurel is also helping sew on the tags, and so we sort of have a little system going. Trying the pieces on throughout the different stages really helps the process, because then it helps us figure out, and we try it on half complete on each other to figure out if it's gonna fit, how it's gonna lay, not just on a mannequin, but on each other. And that's the other piece that's very tricky about this is I'm wanting to make pieces that are a universal fit for children and adults to try on. It is about creating space for people to feel comfortable to express themselves. And whether they're putting a puppet on or whether they're not, we're providing tools for people to be creative and people to ask questions and talk to each other in a different way and put their phones down and play.
To learn more about Cambish's installation, visit columbusmuseum.org. World-famous choreographer Roland Tangen sits down with Hakeem Bellamy and explains how dance can be both an art form and a language with a history that spans across time and culture.
We have to be able to provide water for electricity.
We have a human right to water.
Oh yeah, water is going to be here forever.
Roland Tangen, choreographer, dancer, director, many things, but most importantly, an artist. Why dance to tell your story? Why dance to change the world?
I think there's a theme about transformation, like finding broken things or lost things or old things and turning them into something beautiful, I think, was my initial inspiration. It's almost in response to maybe being in environments of challenge and of chaos and looking for how to create beauty there. And at a certain point in my life, I still love making things, but there was a point at which I wanted to be inside of it, to embody it.
So what makes you tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that continue to use this as your mechanism to not just change the world, but change us, the people around you?
About 10 years ago, I had a huge health struggle, a huge kind of life or death battle, and I actually lost the ability to be I lost my whole entire physicality. At that time, I had a lot of visions and dreamings, so I had a way of seeing the world, a way of understanding the world that I wanted to translate into life. And because I was in such a diminished physical form at that time, I had to translate it onto other bodies, and that's actually choreography.
Water needs to be impounded in huge quantities and moved to where a power plant's going to be located.
And as women, we are carriers of water in our bodies when we carry life.
Our indigenous world is so storied. Everything is symbolic, and I'm very attracted to that in many different cultural forms, symbolism, archetype, and just the fact that everything has a story. And to be able to express those stories in a non-linear, non-narrative fashion. So go to the essence of the story and become it. What I have is not to serve myself and my ego, but it's to serve to strengthen communities by remembering, reviving, reinterpreting these stories, making them available to people to experience. So that theme of transformation that I spoke about can also take the form of renewal. It's not that it transforms, as a dancer you can, I love that in dance you can become a snowstorm, you can become an ancient ancestor, you can become so many different things, you're not limited.
It's interpretive, and dance is a language in and of itself.
Absolutely.
You do a good bit of work around dance and the environment. What's the conversation there? What's the dialogue there?
I look at it and like, okay, well, what is the role of dance in our society? What is the purpose? What has it been in ancient societies? And my understanding is that it's for functional ritual. What is it that we have the duty to speak about, to create messages around, so that there's a purpose for it?
My grandmother, she had so much love in her voice.
I think the issues of the time that are most resonant with me are about our environment. I think, possibly also because of the illness that I faced as a fairly young woman. that there might be reasons in the environment that are causing a lot of illnesses for a lot of people, different levels of illnesses. And so this idea of healing and personal, social, community, and environmental transformation is an impetus to my work.
You spoke in an earlier question about dreams. I like that. And I want to connect that, the visual of dreams and creation, especially, to the mythology that is often cited in your work. Can you talk a little bit about that cultural connection to the mythology in your work?
Sure. There's some great quotes that I can't quite remember, but for instance, Joseph Campbell, who cited that the history and philosophies of other people are mythology.
Right.
I totally resonate with that, in that I think of mythology more as history, and that every culture has it. And sometimes, oh, that culture, you know, you sort of like, oh, that looks like such beautiful mythology. But for example, in many of our Native American stories, there's core information about our world. For example, about coming down from the stars, for example, in some stories. And now science and DNA catches up, and they are able to say, oh, you know, all of life on Earth, all of matter comes from carbon, which is from the heart of dying stars. And like, yeah, there's stories about that. I mean, that's certainly what inspires me as well, to sort of take these stories and translate them into movement, so that these really important information about how to live on Earth can be sustained and renewed.
Water is meaningful to me. Water is my life and my family.
And you've been able to bring this philosophy of your work to some of the things that you've done for film, like Apocalypto and New World. You spoke a little bit about the decolonization of the body and in that experience. So could you briefly share a little bit of that with us?
Well, that sort of brings us to the brief history of Indigenous contemporary theater and dance. So there's a few people who have been pioneering this, maybe say the 60s or 70s, around the time of the AIM movement and like civil rights era. And basically, there's threads that I connect with through some of those innovators. For example, in Canada, around that time, the great playwright Thompson Highway, his dancer brother Rene Highway, who ended up being collaborators with Raul Trujillo and Alejandro Monteria. These are all people whose work I know them, they're mentors, and the premise that they had and that I had separately was, how can we look at theater and dance and create from an indigenous place, which is decolonized in the sense that we do not have to bring in Western theater conventions unless we choose to. If we want to be in a 4-square space with lighting, we can, and we can also question how can we indigenize these elements based on, like I didn't know until fairly recently, like 10 years ago, I thought that Native theater had not existed in theater form. And then I was educated on that, like, oh, actually in the Northwest, they had longhouses with long tubes of logs with fire going through that created very sophisticated lighting for operas that lasted maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe the entire winter. So I look at decolonizing the theater practice and also decolonizing the body. I think there's a lot that society has told us about bodies that is not appropriate.
With Dancing Earth, what I really love is the idea of dance being an education and a liberation. And I thank you for being part of that, Roland. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
To learn more, visit dancingearth.org. Las Vegas journalist Matt O'Brien and photographer Daniel Robert Mollahan come together to shed light on people living in the dark. Through their collaboration, they have captured the struggles of the city's homeless.
We're at the Hunter's Tavern, which right now holds the oldest liquor license in Las Vegas. I started coming here maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I like the mix of people here. My name is Daniel Robert Mollahan, and I'm a photographer. I was born in San Diego. I moved to South Carolina, and that's where I grew up. Then I moved to Las Vegas in 2000. Then I moved to New York for 2 years. Then I moved back to Las Vegas. It's the only place that's really felt like home. I'm an odd person. I function at night. So this town gives me leniency to do what I want when I want. I have very bad anxiety, but that's the reason why I started taking photos. Hiding behind a camera is like becoming invisible. I can just hold up my lens and then I disappear. The stories that I've done in Las Vegas are stories that represent a different way of viewing this town. What I'm working on now is a project that I will probably have to rename because it's called Stand Up Vegas, which means Vegas people stand up. I think some people think it means like stand-up comedy. So I might need to rethink the title. And I've taken a lot of images of people who I think are important in this town. And this town means a lot to me. I like the community here. I like the people I meet. The nature of my work is mostly about the decline of the middle class in the United States. The approach to my art is impressionism and surrealism. Now, they are photographs, so they do happen in real time. And they're not altered. I don't crop. The only thing I do really in Photoshop is what I would do in a dark room. I might lighten certain areas or darken certain areas. What I care about is the impression of a scene to convey a message. And sometimes being out of focus works. Sometimes if the lighting's a little dim, it works. Every detail is not important. It's the scene that's important.
This is a dry wash that when it rains becomes a raging river within minutes. There are more than 200 miles of underground flood channels here in Las Vegas. Of course, we're one of the driest major metro cities in the world. We get about 4 inches of rain a year, so that's what allows people to actually live and hang out in these tunnels.
The fact that people live in storm drains in a town that has so much money is a story that needs to be told.
I wanted someone who could capture, kind of the grittiness and the beauty of these underground flood channels. And Danny's work, especially his black and white photography, really stood out to me.
When I shot the project, I was shooting on film. And it's a Leica M3. It was made in 1953, but it's a rangefinder. It's very similar to this, to where in low light situations, I could shoot without using a flash, which was important to me. I didn't want to make something artificial. I don't like artificial lighting. It doesn't represent the art form.
These 6 tunnels open up into a big chamber where you have artwork going up and down for several hundred feet. Just take a walk, see what's back there.
Back beneath here is an art gallery. There's some pretty amazing graffiti art.
This is the beginning of the underground art gallery. The artwork down here rotates. It's almost like a gallery above ground where every few months you get a new exhibit, so to speak.
When I was down here 6 months ago, it was completely different.
I think it's mostly local graffiti crews that come down here, but you will get some artists from around the world. And the art's good, but it's more the context in which you're seeing it, You walk a half mile in pitch dark, and then this natural light the walls just light up. What I wanted to do with the book was to tell the story of the people who are living down here, share their stories. They've never really had anyone ask them, what they think about the city or homelessness or politics and stuff like that. And I think Danny's photographs really help bring it to life.
Talking to someone is one thing, and that's difficult enough. When you point a camera at someone's face, it's like pointing a gun at them.
So Danny had a very tough task, just getting these people to be willing to be, photographed.
Some of them, they just want to be left alone. They want to fix their lives, but when you get so far down, it's almost impossible. What are you going to do? Fill out a job application when you've been living in a storm drain for 6 months? There's a photo of a gentleman looking up into the light from inside the tunnels. With the light shining down on his face, it's very gritty and kind of captures like the struggle. He's looking up and he's underneath the ground. It speaks for the whole entire work. The people that we met down there came from all walks of life, but the one thing they had in common is that they were trying to make a living in the middle class, and they kind of got kicked out. Las Vegas, being a transient town, kind of takes in and throws away. You know, after the book, Matt did a lot of work with social outreach, helping these people. If I could contribute to that, that was awesome. You know, that's why you do documentary work. We're not out to sensationalize this. We're trying to get people to realize that this happens. It's a problem. I've run into some people that I've taken photos of down here, and they're like, "You're that photographer," and they're grateful, you know, because it kind of lifted them up. It kind of got them out of here. I don't want to be the cool guy artist. That's never been something that's been important. I want my work to be seen. I don't need to be seen. That's part of being a photographer, is you're not the important. I'm not the character. The characters are in the photographs. To me, it's my work. I'm doing it so people can see images that are important.
A Boston park receives a unique new addition. From peregrines to lobsters, the seats on the park's merry-go-round take the shape of local wildlife. Naturally, designer and sculptor Jeff Briggs didn't travel far to find inspiration.
A kaleidoscope of color, a whir of frolicking animals, the new carousel on Boston's Rose Kennedy Greenway is, in the words of its designer, a haven of happiness.
You don't see too many occasions where everybody gets happy, you know, in a nice way, you know. So that means a lot to me.
Jeff Briggs is the creator of the carousel. It was a 3-year process largely undertaken in his colorful Newburyport studio, landscaped with sculpture.
You know, just as an outsider coming in, it seems a little whimsical and fun. And does that help the way you work?
Well, I guess so. I mean, one thing leads off in another. You know, everything you see visually, you collect in your mind, and it transfers to something else as you're doing something new, always.
The Greenway Carousel began with a collection of drawings by Boston public school children who were asked to imagine the native Massachusetts animals they'd like to see populate the merry-go-round.
What's nice about kids is they just like, it's free form. The children's stuff is, of course, not totally identifiable, but the spirit is what you try to pick up and go with if you can.
Like the lobster, one of 14 different animals on the carousel, and one of Briggs' greater challenges.
But if you actually look at a lobster, he's pretty damn ugly. He's got horns sticking out everywhere. I mean, that's how he protects himself. So you kind of like, you take parts of that and you use it as best as you can.
In sculpting each animal, Briggs plowed through research to keep his animal instincts in check. He visited the New England aquarium seals to create his own, combed through bird studies for his peregrine falcon and owl, and even bought the largest codfish he could find to get the mouth just so.
You say, okay, that's how it works. That's what makes it look like it does. This is why this fold is here, that's why that crease is there, and so forth. Once you understand it anatomically how it works.
Installed in its own park over the summer, the carousel is a fiberglass menagerie, a merry ferry for children and adults looking for a momentary spin away.
It's such a wonderful art form because it's something that people use, and they use it right in front of you. There you are, you're standing there and you're watching people enjoy this thing that you created. It's amazing.
For more arts and culture, visit azpbs.org/artbeat, where you'll find feature videos and information on the Arizona art scene. Funding for Artbeat Nation was made possible by contributions to 8 from viewers like you. Thank you.